Welcome to Bill and Rob's An Excellent Adventure. I'm Bill Tilley.
And I'm Rob Schulte. Pew, 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 pew.
Bang, 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 bang.
Peter Weller.
Peter Weller.
Yes, Bill, we're here. And I'm sorry. It's been a couple of years. We got to change things up just a little bit, at least episode, right? And it's not even Garfield's Thanksgiving.
No, it is not. But what are you saying, Robs? Are you saying that we're going to go rogue?
Oh, yes, that's exactly what I'm saying, and I love it. Bill, we've covered RoboCop 1, 2, 3. But now we're not only breaking my cardinal rule of going in order, kind of. Planet of the Apes, we'll talk about that later, or we already have, depending on at what point we got on the rocket ship. But we're covering RoboCop Rogue City, which is a video game. Now, here's the thing. At the time of this recording, Rogue City was like 35% off in the PlayStation Store. So I was like, this is perfect timing. I gotta get on this. This is not a video game review podcast. But what I will say is I got real bored real quick when I was playing it.
Wow.
But what I liked was the story. The problem is that it looked great. It feels great. You feel like you're in Detroit in the 80s, early 90s playing this. But it is essentially walk into building, kill one of 4 punks that all like repeat the same character model, and then get to the boss at the end where it goes slow-mo and you have to kill people with hostages. Rinse, repeat. There's some bosses in there. But the story is really fun and really awesome for people that are into RoboCop, I would say.
Agreed. I did not play the game, so we'll start out for Rob's the gamer. I'm not. So This was an interesting experience for me. I can appreciate it, though. What I saw and what I kind of experienced by watching the gameplay that I looked at, I think we're on this very much the same page, and I'm interested by your comment about the gameplay because I had a similar feeling that might be what you say, because I have played video games before in the past, and I've played first-person shooters, so the stuff I saw was really neat, but it seemed to get pretty repetitive fairly quickly, and so I was really looking forward to hearing your gameplay experience from this.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I love a game that you can kind of just like right now on Twitch, I am playing through all of the Metal Gear games, which are like high concept espionage spy games with like, you're never going to get all the items. If you kill a boss a certain way, the story goes a certain way. If you forget to do one thing, you branch off into a different storyline. There's a lot of different ways to play the games. It's layered, it's written, it's directed. So going to any sort of shooter game after this is going to pale in comparison, right? Mm-hmm. But also the Metal Gear games aren't for everyone. I was talking to our buddies Ben and Adam the other day, and they're like, I can't stand them because they have like 20-minute cutscenes, right? And I was like, oh, but these are like really well done, and the voice acting and everything, you know. But you're not going to win everyone over. The problem with this game, not the problem. What I'm going to say is like, this game is fun if you want to just kick your feet up, live in a RoboCop world. But when you actually start doing the missions, it is very repetitive, kind of boring. And if I wanted to play like a repetitive, like turn my brain off, I'd play a like puzzle game or a Tetris, maybe not turn my brain off, but like something a little bit more simplistic in that sense, something maybe a little bit more 2-dimensional. And this is that sort of game where it's like, I can turn my brain off almost because it's so rinse and repeat. But then I need to pay attention again when the stories come up or when I'm talking to someone in the city and there's a choice to be made. And so it's like I think what's tough is going half and half, right? If this game doesn't hook you, then you're not like hooked to continue the story.
Right. For my video game experience, this reminded me a lot of like Castle Wolfenstein and those kind of things where I've seen those. And the games that I've been drawn to in the past, I've played some various things like everything from Minesweeper to X-Wing, which is one of the first things I thought of. What games I've liked have kind of been these cinematic things where they let me live in that world. X-Wing was a great one. I played X-Wing to death. It was a lot of fun. And to be fair, I've never been good at these, and I've never gotten that far in any of them. I played Indiana Jones games. I've seen other great video games based on properties. The thing that appeals to me in certain ones, much like X-Wing, is flying an X-Wing fighter and shooting TIE fighters. I don't really care so much about the story. I could play this on any level because that's really what I want to do. And then maybe switch ships and do other things because you get to work the machinery.
Yes.
When you play person games, you kind of inhabit that person. And the thrill for me is the world around you. What do you get to do? What do you get to say? And RoboCop is a great movie. It's a great premise for those kind of things. But I think I'm kind of like what you're saying is I'm going to mirror it a little bit of the story is more interesting than the play. Because if you don't give them a variety of things to do, and by being a singular person, your whole goal is to kill everything in front of you, take out the bad guys.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the ultimate goal of whatever else you're doing is great, searching for clues and doing things. But really, at the end of the day, that's what it is. And those kind of games is just, you hope you hit the thing enough times to kill it. And this game was really frantic looking on screen, what I saw, which it should be. That's kind of RoboCop's world. But once I had scrubbed through a bunch of this, I'm like, oh, these scenes look like they're starting to play out the same way over and over. And is that going to hold your imagination if you're a game player? I guess it depends on the game player. But to me, it didn't look like it varied enough to warrant like a deep desire to keep playing this over and over and over again, or sit down and like play 10 or 12 or 20 hours straight. I don't think it would have hooked me that way.
Yeah, I don't want to be going, I got to play the game to get to the story, right? Like I want to be able to be excited about both. But that's neither here nor there at this point. Let's talk about the story because it is like what is it, like Superman Returns, right? It comes in between RoboCop 2 and RoboCop 3 in terms of storylines. And I have pulled up the wiki so that we can kind of walk through it. And this is where our change to form for this episode comes in. We are going to walk through the plot for anyone who doesn't have a video game system and would like to just know this. And Bill and I will talk about what we like and dislike from the story, anything we found amusing. And then, of course, we'll rate it Five Nights for $1 because there was a time when you also went to your local video store and you could rent a video game. I rented many from Movies at Home. So
I rented some, but I have one great story about how I took mine back immediately when I rented Spider-Man on the Sega Genesis.
Oh, yeah. That you expect so much from those Marvel games on the Sega Genesis.
I was in over my head quickly when the instruction book was bigger than like one of my textbooks. And I'm like, nope.
That is so strange because the only thing I never read a single instruction book back when it was like cartridge-based games like that. And when I went back and looked at them, it's like, oh, are you just telling me the whole story of the game and then also what these 3 buttons do? A, B, and C?
Apparently, that was part of the daunting task as I had been out for a while, so I wasn't used to the you must hit sequence of buttons to do thing. My brain doesn't like to work that way. It's why I like flying and driving games. Yeah. If you give me a stick and a wheel, I already know how to work that. So I just got to figure out the rest of the stuff. You put me behind the wheel of the Knight Rider video game, I'm pretty good.
Ooh,
but if you make me have to do 3 buttons and hold things down and jump on 1 foot to make your character spin around, I am not your boy.
Not it. Well, Bill, let's get into the plot. We got about 5 paragraphs here, and we'll just break it up in between. I'll read the first one here. So remember, this is following the events of RoboCop 2, which were confusing because was RoboCop worried about his wife? Worried about Nuke? Worried about a little kid?
These were questions we had in the actual movie review.
Yes. So, and I still haven't decided if we're going to put this out after 3, but I think we should put it out after 3. I think that's the way to go here.
I think so.
Yeah. So while rescuing hostages at the Channel 9 news studio from Soot and the Torchheads, RoboCop suffers vision of his... Okay, so this is written real well. RoboCop suffers visions of his past life as Alex Murphy and hallucinates a woman hostage as Murphy's wife, causing him to hesitate and forcing Lewis, who is alive, to directly intervene. As RoboCop's breakdown was captured on film and resulted in a wave of bad press, OCP assigns Max Becker as RoboCop's overseer, installing a monitoring chip in his head to evaluate his performance. Fairly decent setup, I think, especially after RoboCop 2, we're at least coming back to this idea of like he's still like this dangling thing with his wife that we kind of saw.
Yeah, and the dangling element of people constantly questioning, is he a man or is he a machine or is he both?
Yeah, and we haven't closed the door. I don't think that answer was fully, and it may not need a full answer, right? Like, but it's
I don't
fun.
think it does.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the fun of RoboCop. I think the only thing that gets confusing is it seems like he answers that question and then the question sort of gets unanswered, but you kind of want to, feels like every time OCP messes with him, that's what causes that uncertainty. And then he has to claw his way back.
Yeah. It's a rinse repeat, almost like a sitcom, right?
Yeah.
So let's move on. As Sergeant Reed briefs his squad on the rising threat of the new guy, apparently this is the bad guy, RoboCop is sent to locate and interrogate Soot. He and Lewis track Soot to an abandoned slaughterhouse where a Torchhead, and Torchhead is the punk gang at this point. The Torchhead concert is in progress. As RoboCop apprehends Soot, the leader of the Torchheads, Lewis is taken hostage by the new guy, who kills Soot for drawing too much attention with the studio attack, while RoboCop mysteriously malfunctions again. The new guy identifies himself as Wendell Antonowski, brother of Emil Antonowski, one of Clarence Boddicker's gang members who was killed in the first RoboCop. Criticizing RoboCop for his attachment to his human side, he shoots Lewis in the chest, leaving her comatose. So, Emil Antonowski Wendell, who's the brother of Emil being the guy who blows up the gas station inadvertently and becomes the Toxic Avenger at the end of the first one. I think this is interesting. In watching the game, I think we are about the 800th person to probably point this out, but the new guy, Wendell, is Hans Gruber, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
He's pretty much Hans Gruber, yeah. He's kind of got video Keanu vibes a little bit. Yeah. With his John Wick sort of look. But yeah, he's got a weird way of speaking and he's very mysterious and he's super, kind of tries to play it super suave. Yeah. And he's an interesting character. It's interesting to see them pick a character you wouldn't imagine, like kind of, it's easy to go, oh, well, it's Clarence Boddicker's brother. Yeah. Same as it's Hans Gruber's brother. I mean, that's a trope they've hit a million times, but to see them pick like a side, lower down the totem pole character and go, oh, it's this guy who clearly was not a mastermind of the first movie in any way. And
his brother is, like, where you been, bro?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's odd. It's refreshing because, I wouldn't have picked that. So that's kind of neat. You still get a bit of a nostalgia hit, but it's also one of those like, hope everybody remembers this guy's name because they don't say it that often.
Nope. They don't say it that often and they don't really remind you that often in the game. So,
no. But they do set him up as a mysterious figure, and that was fun. It was nice to see that because RoboCop's always been. There's not been a lot of mystery as to who's who in these movies.
Yeah.
They clearly spell out bad guy, good guy, so on and so forth.
True. And one thing they haven't brought up in this plot synopsis so far, though, is that like Nuke is still a big thing on the streets.
Nuke is still a big thing on the streets. It is. They very much enjoyed painting it on the walls on like every downtown dilapidated shootout scenario.
It is the spray paint in this is one of those things where you're just like, all right, I don't think every graffiti artist, and maybe not artist, but everyone doing graffiti and spray painting walls is not always trying to be like clever, right? Sometimes they're just spray painting stuff.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just some squiggles and some lines or whatever, but they're not all up to the level of like, the Warriors poster.
Yeah.
Like you've got that hanging on your wall in your office while you're designing this, like that's your inspiration. It's like, that's a pretty high bar to hit every time, but sure.
Yeah. So one thing I also want to point out is Sergeant Reed looks great in this game.
He does. The only thing that really got me about Reed, and it's one of the things that we'll probably talk in more detail in a minute, was his voice was a little strange for me, for him. And he's always looking up. His eye line is always perpetually looking up, no matter who he's talking to. You
know what's interesting, though? I just Googled Sergeant Reed, and like every photo that pops up, he's looking up.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if there's just like, his eyes might sit in a way where we get more white underneath the eyes than just someone else. But that really, really is predominant whenever you see it in the game, like this fictionalized version.
Yeah, I'm like, RoboCop's not that tall, Sarge. Like, and it almost makes him feel small because he's looking up at everybody.
Yeah. Too bad we couldn't get his voice. Oh, probably because he passed away in 2008. But
and I think it's fair to just throw this out right now. The fact that they did get Peter Weller, amazing.
Yes. And about the only person in the game who has any credible voice acting.
Pretty much. Yeah. Although for tone and sound, the actor they got to do Ann Lewis for this, pretty good.
Yeah, I think so too. A definite, it's not Nancy Allen, but it is, I think you're right. I think it's a good mimic.
It is. And it's not perfect, but I don't know if she planned it, but she manages to hit the inflection of the name Murphy, just the way Nancy Allen did it. It fooled me for a minute because I didn't know anything about it. So I'm like, is that Nancy? You listen, you're like, after a minute or two, you're like, okay, it's not her, but that's a damn good facsimile you've got going on there.
Absolutely. And so I think between like RoboCop and Lewis, we've got the good acting, and then like a lot of the people you just run into on the street are maybe one take Charlies.
Yeah. So good on them for getting the two main characters with absolutely the most dialogue.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, let's keep going here. Determined to seek justice for Lewis. RoboCop uncovers a connection between Wendell and the Street Vultures, another gang, which I have a thought on this, don't let me forget. Raiding their territory, the Street Vultures' territory, by a steel mill and quarry, he discovers multiple corpses once reported stolen from the city morgue and hospital, including a police officer reported missing. RoboCop calls for backup along with Ed 209 to storm the hideout, but the Ed 209 malfunctions and attacks the police instead. Who would have thought? Allowing the vultures to escape. Autopsies reveal that the bodies found in the quarry were brought there by the vultures and later had their brains extracted by Wendell. RoboCop tracks down and arrests Wendell as Lewis awakens from her coma. Meanwhile, the old man, remember him, suffers a heart attack and later passes away. Okay, so we at least get some closed book stuff on the old man.
Right, because it is not defined in RoboCop 3 what exactly happened to him. Whether he is alive or dead, he's just gone.
So I think this story element does show you the problem with this game. You were with the Torchheads, and then Wendell kills the leader of the Torchheads, and now there's another gang that you need to go do the same thing through. And I think it's a way of kind of changing a little bit what the gang looks like, but not too much. They all still kind of have the same haircut and jean jacket, but I think in the way that you're like, you swap out one gang for another gang for one chapter of this story, you're not doing too much here. It could have easily been roped into one, but there's the mystery of the dead bodies with their brains being extracted. That's pretty much what we get here.
Which is a pretty cool element.
Yeah.
You know, that's a, you didn't see anything like that in the original movies. It was always first Murphy and what he goes through, and then Kane, which they basically do pull his brain out of his head and stick it in a jar. But it's one, you know, it's not multiple corpses showing up over the city with their brains removed. That is an interesting element.
And arresting Wendell, you know, mid-game is also pretty significant. I was, you know, I don't know if you know this, Bill, but at the time of this recording, they're doing like select Christopher Nolan movies coming back to the theaters. And it has like no advertising, at least out in my area. I stumbled upon, or Mrs. Colombo stumbled upon it, and I had yesterday off of work, and I went and saw The Dark Knight at 1 p.m. in the afternoon because it was the only time it was playing. And I remember in that movie how cool it is when like the Joker gets caught like halfway through.
Yeah, it's a great plot element because, you know, you're used to the chase taking the whole movie. But RoboCop has been a bit of a layered film because in RoboCop 1, RoboCop catches Clarence Boddicker about halfway through the movie.
That's
but
true.
He is not the main bad guy, but there is an element of, all right, you know, we're never expecting that. So you're kind of going, all right, what's your next move? Is he going to break out? Is somebody going to come get him? Is this really, it can't possibly be the end. So it's a fun element to hang on.
Absolutely. Let's see here. We're almost done with this game, but there's still more. And that is that in City Prison, RoboCop learns from Wendell he was hired by OCP for a project called Project Afterlife. The extracted brains were being used as part of a mass resurrection program inspired by RoboCop and orchestrated by the old man. Mercenaries later attack the prison and free Wendell during a riot, while Becker takes over as OCP's new CEO. Becker unveils his urban enforcement droids, UEDs, which Wendell later hijacks in retaliation for Becker terminating Project Afterlife. As RoboCop once again tracks down Wendell and confronts him, he discovers that the monitoring chip installed by Becker is triggered by Wendell's lighter to degrade RoboCop's mind and prevent him from accosting Wendell. Got it. RoboCop removes the chip and pursues Wendell amidst the chaos and caused by the gangs, mercenaries, and hijacked UEDs, tracking him down to the first construction site of Delta City.
Ugh.
The pursuit ends with RoboCop finally killing Wendell. Wow.
In spectacular style.
Yeah.
Spectacular. I'll tell you right now, folks, if this is a RoboCop 1 level of blood and guts.
Yeah.
Possibly a little more in some places. This is particularly brutal.
It is a brutal game. That is one of the fun parts of actually like walking around as RoboCop is because like when they go boom, they go boom.
Yeah. I was totally taken aback the most by his grab and throw maneuver.
Yes.
Wow.
You've got your RoboCop gun. You can pick up any other guns that drop, but you can also just either punch someone in the head or grab them and throw them real far.
Yeah. There was one scene I saw where he threw a guy out of a like a skyscraper window and the camera follows them down.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I know why we're here and we're going to give it to you. That was kind of amazing. I will say the one thing that caught me with window is, I picked up on Chekhov's lighter.
Sure. Yeah.
Pretty fast. That wasn't hard to figure out. Sometimes I don't know. Like, I wonder about people when they play a lot of video games. Like, Rob, do you appreciate a game that is, how do I put this? Maybe not the right words, but like super hard to figure out? Like, is the challenge a good thing, or do you want at some point to be able to move the story along?
That's a really good question, Bill, because you've caught me at this time that I'm playing these Metal Gear games, right? And the kind of fun thing about those games is, for the majority of them, because, they've been made since, like, there was a Nintendo Metal Gear, there was a PlayStation 3, PlayStation 5, all of these different ones. But taking the, like, Nintendo ones aside and going with the ones that are a little bit more 3D, a little bit more tech involved with them, I love that with these games, you can pretty much beat them, right? There might be some hard bosses. There might be some things you might need to Google here or there, but if you really put your nose to the grindstone, you could get through the game and get an ending. But if I wanted to get a strategy guide or look a little further into the story, or, these branching pieces that I was talking about at the beginning of the episode, you could get a different ending or meet a new character or figure something else out. And I do like that. So I guess I kind of like it right in the middle, right? I like that, like, if I want to, I can play this game without worrying about Googling anything and beat it. But if I really enjoy the game and I want to find out, like, oh, there's an alternate ending, I can go figure out how to get that alternate ending and also do that, because it's like it feels like I'm getting more bang for my buck, quite frankly. Mm-hmm. But to be honest, like, some days I just want to sit down and play Mario, right? Like,
sure.
That's a blast too.
Yeah. I've always wanted to be able to move the game along at some point. I mean, a game's a game. It's supposed to be challenging, but I think especially in games based on movies or TV or genre where you've already got a knowledge of what you're doing, like, there's a certain level of discovery that's gone because you're like, oh, I know this world. Like, they may take it to a different place or add some stuff to it, but you get the gist of it all.
Yeah.
So, if I'm stuck escorting the tanker from Yavin to the new base and I can't get it done and I'm constantly on a loop, and which has happened, it's like, I will check out. I'm like, this isn't fun for me. I know you can put it on easy mode, hard mode, those different kind of things, but I almost feel like if there was a way to say, hey, here's your mission. These missions are based in, they're doable. Yeah. Like, it's not super complicated. You can play it again. Then that's what I'll pick, because I want to move on to the next scenery, to the next thing you get to do, to whatever is down the road in this world. I don't want to be spending weeks trying to figure out how to get out of this digital hole that I've dug myself into.
Oh yeah. I won't allow myself either. And it's like, when I'm playing a game that has a good story, like Metal Gear, I will allow myself to fail on my own, like two or three times, right? And then I'll be like, how do I beat this boss? I'm going to Google it, because the point to me is to know the story of this game, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I've followed these characters through all of these games. I want the story. I don't necessarily want the challenge. Like, the challenge will happen, but I'm not going to get mad at myself, and I'm not going to, like, throw my controller against the wall. I've known people in my past that have probably been less than mature when near my age when playing a game, and that's fine. I felt really bad because I was poking fun at, like, a type of guy on a stream once who says, like, this game's cheating. And it's like, well, the game doesn't cheat. And then Because like that's like a common like joke. Like someone gets so worked up at the game that they say the game is cheating on them, and it like saying the casino's cheating or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I turned on to this other guy's stream, and he like immediately said that, and I was like, oh, I must have like heard him say that earlier on, and I felt really bad, but like that's the sort of thing I don't want to put myself in that mood, you know?
Yeah. No, it's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be aggravating.
And there are certain games I've tried to play that I was like so frustrated with. There's types of games that people call them Souls-like games. It like starts with this game called Dark Souls. And it is really like they give you no explanation, and the bosses are so hard that you have to like learn their pattern of movement, and like they'll kill you in one hit until you like learn how to do it. And it's like, I can't do this. This ain't for me.
No, that's not fun. That feels like work. And that's the opposite of a game.
Yes. Well, should we close out on what happens at the end of RoboCop Rogue City?
We should indeed.
RoboCop then receives a call that the OCP main office is under attack, but Windows dead, Bill.
What?
He arrives to find Becker being held by RoboCop 2.
Oh, no.
Remember this? Which plays a video message from the old man. The old man, not even Kane.
Nope.
Revealing that he has uploaded his brain into RoboCop 2. The old man explains that he did it after being inspired by RoboCop and kills Becker by crushing his windpipe. RoboCop fights and defeats RoboCop 2 in a grueling battle that destroys the OCP building in the aftermath. OCP is considered for buyout by the Japanese corporation Kanemitsu, leading into the events of the third film. So they did it. They bridged the gap.
They did. They absolutely did. And not in a bad way at all, I think.
Yeah.
It's a really good story for the most part. And it actually picks up on some elements that I think, we touched on where we would like to have seen RoboCop go in a different way. I know I'd mentioned like, I want to see him take on different tech and see how other corporations use their stuff against him. Or at least in this point, there was some new OCP tech that sort of came out of the woodworks with the droids.
Yeah.
And so it was really neat to see all those kind of things happen. I won't say though, it's not a complicated story.
No.
It takes us in some different directions. I was really excited by the start of this game, watching the gameplay, because watching them go downtown and go to the media break Channel 9 building, and you see there's something we've never seen before. These are new things, and kind of see different characters come out of the woodwork and see RoboCop do his bit. Like, sometimes just the change of scenery is great.
Yeah.
But if you look at it, it's also, there's a lot of repetition. Like they can't get out of this damn quarry. They can't get away from this stupid factory. They've got to work these kind of things in there. And that stuff was like, but that's in the gameplay. And this is also a lot of the stuff I scrubbed past. So since I wasn't playing it, it kind of made it a little bit of a different experience, but it was variable enough and put a new spin on some of the things that it really works as a bridge between those two movies. I'm not certain that if you take it out of that context, if it just was a thing on its own and they say we're not connecting it, or it's just a game out of nowhere that we've created, I don't know if it's all that great, because it really hinges on the RoboCop world and knowing some of it and being able to go back and hear Peter Weller's voice, which sells this whole thing. I mean, I am one of those people that, of course, you play games and you see offshoots of things and it's different voices, and that always breaks me. And that's a problem in my head. It's a thing I've always had of like, well, that's not the voice and that's not the person.
Yeah.
And, I can still appreciate it, but it's like listening to an old Power record from when I was a kid. It's like, it's the adventures of the $6 Million Man, and Steve sounds like an accountant. I ain't no Lee Majors. So I can't forget that. So him doing his part and doing the voice. And I guess that I'd read where the developers had said, like, he just came right in and did it.
Yep.
They didn't have to direct him. He just did it. And he also was like, directing them, going, hey, this is how he would do this. This is how it would sound. It really lets you kind of sink in and enjoy all the stuff that's going on around you. And I'm glad they did this. It was a really good story.
Well, with all that said, Bill, how would you rate it? And if you want to explain how we rate things, that's great too.
Well, I will do that, although I think we should do one thing before we go.
Oh, please.
Before we get on to, I think we should hit some of our regular segments in a sense, because I would like to, there's a few things I really liked, a few things specifically I disliked, and I had a couple of amusing moments. So do you have one of each of these at least, Rob? Because I only have a couple. I don't think we need to go too deep on it.
Yeah, I'll just run through one like, one dislike, and one amusing moment, because I feel like I touched on most of them when I was discussing it. So,
okay.
A like, obviously Peter Weller, right? Obviously that is a great thing, but I think I like that you feel like you're in the world of RoboCop.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't think it doesn't feel out of place. So I like that. I disliked quite frankly, I know a lot of work went into this, but I'm going to use the phrase lazy storytelling. They pulled a lot of tropes. They pulled a lot of like stuff from other things. They didn't really give us anything new. And so that, coupled with the repetitive gameplay, makes this, it raised some red flags for me. But my amusing moment is just the idea of thinking, let's just put Hans Gruber in this game and call him a different name, and just like, that's our fan service for you. Like, there's so much to tap and fan service, and they're like, yeah, no, it's also part Die Hard. You know?
Yeah, including the flying out of some high heights at the end of it. So
yeah.
All right, yeah. My like is I generally like that they took different locations, different directions. You got to see more of the world around RoboCop, things that we hadn't done, and that there are a lot of these little side missions, even though they're repetitive. For somebody like me, who's like, I'm not playing the game, I'm watching it, so. This is a weird review of sorts of what I'm saying as not an actual player of the game, but kind of trying to approach it from more of a story standpoint. It would have been nice to have gotten a car chase if RoboCop had been driving the Taurus. That would have been great. Blow that thing apart. You know, see him go out of the freaking steel mill, seeing him get into some of these glass towers and tromp around was awesome. The characters are varied. There's a lot of different stuff going on certain levels of it. They fall into the trope section a good bit, but they are at least different. So they're not the same faces that we've seen or are expecting to see, which is nice that they don't super foreshadow 3 and they don't mind 2 for a lot of extra. Like, Johnson's not in this movie at all. Yeah. They could have used him, but they didn't. You know, we don't see Rip Torn's character come in any significant way for this kind of stuff. It was nice. One thing I dislike is I dislike almost all the other characters for the most part in the acting. I'm not going to hit them too hard because I look at all their faces, and their faces really threw me off a lot of the time because they don't really express themselves. And that probably doesn't do any help for the acting of the voice acting. But I feel like some of these actors really went in a super weird direction, especially the old man, the guy that voiced him. He does not sound anything like that character. He sounds very odd, and it was very jarring. And the rest of them are just, some of them are super, super duper over the top with how they pronounce their words and say their sentences. It was rough.
And you know, sorry, I just have to jump in because you just reminded me, with the rough voice acting and the rough acting in general, like, that plot synopsis leaves out the entire subplot that there's like a rookie cop that's also been tasked with like following RoboCop around, and that's not the best acting either. And so when you have to like have this person keeping tabs on RoboCop, like, very odd.
Yeah, it feels a little it feels kind of comical at some points. And that leads into my amusing moment of all this is on top of all the crazy acting and all the crazy little bits of things we get and the weird way that people talk and all the other characters in the movie, there's a moment where a gang is confronting a guy on top of a roof who has stolen their nuke and is selling it for cut rate prices and messing up all their sales. And this is a long cutscene where the gang members who are angry at this one guy give him a lesson in economics. They tell him all about free markets and how cutting the prices is bad for retention and repeat customers down the line. And I'm watching this going, what the hell is this? This is an economics class. And they're saying it in this weird, makes me think like an SNL skit. That's what it made me think of, like a super parody of what would happen. Well, you know, I'm up. You're not going to kill you. We're trying to teach you about supply versus demand. I'm like, what the hell is this? And then RoboCop bursts in and you're like, oh yeah, I'd almost forgot we were in the middle of this game. Like, who?
Yeah.
Who thought this was entertaining or fun? Because this is not a scene you play. You have to watch it. You don't have a choice.
Yeah.
So that, and then honorable mention to the one hooker at the beginning of the movie who they put in, who is in a crop top, but that's for some reason has no cleavage.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So slip that in. So those are the highlights for me on that one.
Oh, well, should we rate this thing?
Absolutely. So we'll put a slight spin on it. We have our patented segment, 5 Nights for $1, where normally we say it's you walk into your video store and you rent a movie. But in this case, you've walked into your local video store who happens to rent video games.
Yes.
And you've gone past the rack and you found RoboCop Rogue City. And it's on an incredible deal because this is a brand new game. And for some reason, you're in a video store that still exists. And they're going to let you rent this movie for up to 5 nights for $1. And our system, not related to anything else, no sequels, no prequels. And for this is easy because this is a brand new game. It's just based on a property we know. So you've gone in, you've plunked down your $1. You've picked up your, what would it be? Sega Dreamcast, if we did a retro version of RoboCop Rogue City. I've plunked mine into my Atari 7800 and you fired it up. You've played it. How many of those 5 nights are you going to keep this game? I think I'll go first because you're the patented gamer, Rob. So my review, in a sense, will probably mean nothing. But I will say I wouldn't mind to play this game. Well, having watched it and watched all the cutscenes, I would enjoy playing this game for a while. It held my attention. On the plus side, for somebody that doesn't game a lot, it looks like it would be fairly intuitive to pick up. It's not super complicated. So it would be fun to live in that world and whip out the Auto 9 and blow away some street vultures or whatever it is they're called in some of these sections. So it was kind of neat, but it's going to lose my attention fairly quickly because it is super repetitive. And I guess that's probably a problem with all these first-person games. It's something that I might like to play and come back to when I'm in the mood to play RoboCop, but it's not going to keep my attention for an extended period of time. I'm going to want to get to the next cutscene because that's kind of cool. And that's what I would really be there for, is to see how this story unfolds, because they've said in their world, this is an actual bridge between the last 2 actual movies of the franchise. And by having Peter Weller in there doing the voice, and everybody know this part too. We all know that, like, when you get an actor to come back and reprise a role, even if it's a voice actor and they've aged, sometimes their voice has changed. It's not quite the same. Weller nails it. He absolutely nails it. It's like nothing has changed. So that was awesome to hear him do the lines and say the stuff. Worked out great. So I would probably keep this game around for, I'm going to say, I'd probably keep it around for at least 3 nights.
Yeah.
And I would noodle around with it hard on the first night. And then I would definitely try to hit as many of the things as I could to blow past them to try and get as much of the game in. After 3 nights, whether I've made it to the end or not, I'm probably going to put this away for a good long while. So that's my consecutive rating. And it's not going to make me want to run out and get more similar stuff in this, but it's definitely going to be a good time. So I'm going to have to then go online and, of course, read the synopsis to know what I didn't get to.
Yeah, I am similar to you, Bill, but I'm going to come in a little bit lower, and here's why, right? I think I'm going to keep this for only a day and a half. And not because it's necessarily bad, but I'm putting myself in the position of renting, right? And when do I rent? I rent when I have free time, when I have the ability to watch the movie, to play the game. I am dedicating my time to this thing, and I don't own it, so that time becomes compressed, right? Mm-hmm. If I were to buy it, I'm making the choice of spending more, but having it for a longer period of time if I get, bored with it or whatever. So I think if it's a day and a half, it's because I have gotten home from school, I'm plugging it in, I'm playing the game, and then I'm kind of going, all right, this is a little bit similar each time. I'm doing the same thing, but I want to see this story. And then I take a break and I order my pizza and I watch my From Dusk Till Dawn or whatever that's on. And then I get back into it. I'm like, okay, I'm revved up again. I'm going to play some more. I do a couple more cutscenes. And I'm like, this is kind of and I think by the time we get to the morning of like, maybe it's a short game. Maybe I'll get really far by noon tomorrow. And then I'm sitting there going, I got to make a choice. Mom will either take me to the store again so I can return this and get a different game to rent for the rest of my weekend, or I'm stuck with this until Monday morning. And I already know I don't want to play it if I'm not beating it today. And so I think with that being said, it's only a day and a half because I think I would make the hard decision of if I can get back to the store, I'm renting something else that an old standby at this point. I made my risks. Sometimes you bet high, you win high. Sometimes you bet high, you lose real low. So I'm cutting my losses and I'm going to get like Mario 64 or something. And that's where I'm at. Only because I take my gaming very seriously, Bill.
I believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Sub question.
Yes.
Do you think you can play this game to the end? Do you think it would be a challenge?
I know that I could beat it, but I'm telling you, when I started playing it after I bought it, I actively looked up, can you return games bought digitally?
Ooh.
And no, you cannot. Once that thing is downloaded to your system, all sales final.
Well, yeah. Fair enough. I mean, in a year, you may want to take a 20 or 30 minutes and take out some Ed 209s.
That's exactly it. That is exactly. I'm happy to have it. I think it's a fun piece of media, and that time was put into and aspects of are really good. But I really was let down with the gameplay. But you can't win them all, right?
Nope, you can't. Sometimes you're the windshield. Sometimes you're the drug dealer thrown off an incredibly high building.
Absolutely. Well, Bill, this has been great. We're going to go into more RoboCop next week. What are we up to? I think we said next week we'll do the remake, right?
Yes, we're up to the remake.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And then we get Robo Vampire.
And that's going to be a real game changer.
Yeah. And I am really looking forward to it. I bet you that'll be a fun one for Rob Adler to edit as well. I mean, I'm sure they're all he's probably editing there going, I love this. I love Bill and Rob's.
Hey, I had a talk with Rob Adler the other day where he enjoys that we keep him on his toes and not at all the fact that we dangle a little bit of money in front of him every time, which we are able to do through the support of our patrons.
Yes, thank you, patrons.
And support us. We thank you very much. This project of ours is great and it's fun. It does have some costs, so your contributions to us over there really help make things go better so we can pay Rob Adler what he is due for his great work. And hopefully someday we will have enough to build our own RoboCop suits that Rob and I can put our brains into and just keep this going for eternity. We'll just live forever.
Yeah, don't let us don't let us spend this money on Nuke. Okay, everyone? We're saving it for RoboCop suits. And that's final, quite frankly.
Yeah. We make that pledge to you now, no matter how much we get, we will not spend it on Nuke.
Except for what our costs need to be spent on Rob Adler, who we thank very much. But Rob, you could also throw your money into the RoboCop suits and get one for yourself. Just putting it out there.
And we will not pay Rob Adler a Nuke.
No.
He's on his own.
Yeah. So with that, everyone, we ask that you share this with a friend. Let them know that now's the time. Now is the time to check in on your old pals, Bill and Rob, and get into some of these Patreon episodes because they're a whole heck of a lot of fun. All right, Bill. Well, we'll see you next week where we talk about the remake.
It's going to be great. Directive 4 signing off.